What's happening, guys? This is Tristan back again with Lawson's car reviews, and today we have got this beautiful BMW 428i. I've been waiting to drive one of these for the longest time, and I finally got my hands on one. So let's take a look at it. Let's see how it drives. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. This thing is awesome. What's good, YouTube? This hood is really light. Giddy up! So starting off at the front of this car, guys, it is typical BMW styling. You got a small kidney grille, you got beautiful lights and fog lights, and you've even got lights in the turn signals, which are very classic, very nice looking. And you got this beautiful black paint color. And then moving on to the side, it's a two-door coupe, so it is a very attractive, very beautiful car. I love the look of this car. It's one of my favorite looking BMWs. And you get these awesome 18-inch wheels. They're 225/45 R18. So they are only 18-inch wheels, but you get a decent small sidewall, so the car handles well. And just the overall profile of the car, I think, is amazing. The trunk size on the car is not that big. So let me show you. The trunk does open by itself when you press it on the key fob, but you do not have that much space, maybe enough for one suitcase and a carry-on. Not very big trunk at all, but it is kind of a sports coupe, so you wouldn't expect it to have the biggest trunk. And then you get these little itty-bitty exhaust back here, which I wish it had two on this side and two on the other side, even though it's only the 428i. But they don't look like they're stainless steel. They're pretty dirty, to be honest with you. And then moving on into the interior, it's actually pretty big in here. When I slide the seat all the way back, I have plenty of leg room. But at the back of the car, there really isn't much room. There's no room for anyone to sit behind me. I'd have to slide my seat way forward in order for them to be able to sit behind me. And then space in the middle compartment is extremely minimal. And the space that's actually in the glove compartment, that's a decent size. You can fit quite a few hot dogs, pizza rolls in there, whatever you feel like putting in there. But there's really not too much space overall. The cup holders are kind of small. But as I said, not why you buy this car. This is a sports car, so you shouldn't really expect it to have the most storage space. Same with the pockets. You can fit a little drink in there, you know, a map, if you still use one and don't use your phone. And then the gauges, these are just analog gauges, but they're really attractive BMW gauges. I really like them. They're very plain, very simple, nothing special about them. The paddle shifters work really well on this car, and they feel expensive. Not expensive, but they don't feel like cheapy plastic like they do on some other vehicles. Now moving on to the engine of this car, it is turbo powered, and the car does only weigh 3,500 pounds, a shade under 3,500 pounds, and it makes 241 horsepower, 258 foot-pounds of torque, which doesn't sound like much. but in this car, paired with the transmission that shifts very fast, it actually feels pretty quick. To be honest with you, I thought that it would feel a lot slower, but it feels faster than my V6 Mustang, and that has over 300 horsepower. So it definitely is a nice feeling vehicle. And let me show you something else too. When you close the door, it does hand you your seatbelt. However, this one is not connected, but it does move the seatbelt back and forth. And if you use this little button down here, you have the option to fold in and out the wing mirrors on this car. So I think that's pretty cool. So when you start the car up, this is the BMW key fob, and it is push button start. So you hold your foot down on the brake, go ahead and press the button, car starts right back up, and then the mirrors will automatically tilt back out. Now this car does not have any kind of sports exhaust or anything like that, but it still makes a decent sound. Let me rev the engine for you one time. Yeah, it's pretty quiet, to be honest with you, but that's easily fixed. And then you got the same transmission that comes in a lot of these BMWs. Very simple to use. You just press the button, move it forward, move it back. For neutral, you press the button to go back into park, and it does show you what gear you're in here on the dash, as well as it shows you on the gear stick itself. And you do have this tiny little display up here. It's not the best. It's kind of grainy, which is a little bit disappointing for BMW, but it is what it is. Everything else and all the other materials in the car feel quite nice. So let's take this thing for a spin. Now what I will say is, this car being a turbo is highly tunable. So you can easily tune this car to make over 300 horsepower and over 300 foot-pounds of torque, and then it will be a much quicker vehicle. So don't think that just because it comes standard with 241 horsepower that you're not going to be able to do anything with it. The car does have 4 modes, driving modes. It has the Eco Pro for the best gas mileage, and then Comfort, which is like your normal driving mode, Sport, which makes the shifts and everything a little bit quicker, and then you've got Sport Plus, which partly takes off traction control and speedens up the shifts and the overall handling and dynamics of the vehicle. So of course I'm going to drive in Sport Plus. There's no point driving a sports coupe in Comfort or Eco. So let's get on the highway and let's see how she does. And as I said, this car says that it's 241 horsepower and 258 foot-pounds of torque, but I promise you right now, this car feels so much faster than that. So much faster. Okay, let me put my foot down for just a second. There we go. Oh Lord. Guys, this car is quick. It's scary to think how quick a 440i or a BMW M4 would be, but this car feels really quick. It feels every bit of 300 plus horsepower. Especially low down in the torque range. That's where those turbos kick in, and there is a little bit of turbo lag, but it's really not bad at all. Especially just for regular everyday driving, and if you want a car that's got some good passing power, this definitely is good. The ride, I feel, is great, especially for a smaller little two-door coupe. It's pretty smooth. The armrests on the door, the armrest on the center console also feel very comfortable. So I've got no complaints there. The car feels very stable, and it's very quiet on the inside. So there's great sound deadening in this vehicle too. When the car changes gear, because the gear change is so fast in this vehicle, you get this surge of power that comes on with every gear change. So, you know, if this was a manual, this car definitely would not feel as fast, but because it's one of these quick shifting automatic transmissions, then it feels very quick. And watch this acceleration again. Whew! That put me back in my seat, actually. Very surprising. Wow. Okay, let me just go ahead and say right now, this car has not disappointed me. In fact, being the 428i, I actually expected it to be less impressive, and I'm actually coming away from this being so much more impressed than I thought I would be. Yes, this has definitely jumped up to being one of my favorite driving cars, one of my favorite handling cars too. I'm extremely impressed. And I have driven other BMWs. I've driven a 7 Series, I've driven a 5 Series BMW, I've driven an older 3 Series, and this one to me feels a lot more sporty, a lot more buttoned down than all of those. Yeah, it's really good. Really, really good. Okay, we're gonna test the 0 to 60 right now. I'm waiting for the light. Here we go. Whew. Oh yeah. Ah. This is fast. This is making me want an M3 or M4, a 440i or something, because it's addictive. It puts the power down to the ground in such an impressive way. I am so surprised by this car right now. The one thing that I definitely wish was different is that it had a better exhaust note. The car is kind of quiet, and for a sports car I'd like a little bit more sound, even though it's a sports luxury vehicle. And guys, this car is super impressive. I'm very surprised at how fast it feels for the horsepower and torque numbers. I'm very impressed with how it puts the power down. I'm impressed with how good the gas mileage is. It feels steady, it feels stable. It feels big in here, especially with the sunroof open. And the interior, all of the qualities in the car are very nice. So overall, I think this car is a big win. So don't forget to like the video, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to look out for what's coming next on the channel. I appreciate you watching.